Alright, hello everyone. So today I'll be making a video on Musume Pretty Derby. This game is honestly one of my favorite games back in the day, and a lot of people have been asking me how to reroll, what to reroll for, how to train my horse, what should I be aiming for in the future, how's the gacha, blah blah blah. From different friend groups and even some people from the Limbus Discord have also asked me this question. So I wanted to make a video just to cover as many things as possible, basically, because I want to kind of settle all of these things in one soup, basically. Right. So let's just talk about a little bit of me. Basically, I played like I think 1.8 years ish of this game. I played one anniversary, and then after that, I played like six scenarios. So scenarios are just the different roguelite modes in this game. Right now in global, we only have Ura. There's later on going to be Alharu, make a new track, Date Live, I think, Date Live, and uh, no, it's Grand Life, and then Grandmaster. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, GL then GM, correct. Yep. So there's a total of 6 scenarios that I've experienced myself, and there's also after this in the JP version, I think like 4 to 5 other scenarios which I kind of briefly looked through. Quite interesting. There's an island creation one. There's a food cooking one. There's quite a few interesting ones that are coming up for you. The food cooking one apparently is horrendous, but never mind. That one is going to be a later thing anyway. Basically, there is a lot of stuff to learn in Musume. At surface glance, the game really looks like, oh, I'm just going to train a cute horse girl, going to make her the best of the best horses, and then I'm going to just have fun with this game. Yeah, well, that's just the basic shit. Later on, there's going to be the stuff where you need to know how to get certain stats, how to get certain parents, how to get the parents to have certain compatibilities, how to get your horses to do this, how to get this strategy to work with this, how to make Urara win the Arima Kinen, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of little details that you want to go and learn with this game. I will talk about why I quit the game first, because I wanted to let you guys know what to expect in case you just came here because you watch a streamer and you just want to understand what the hell is going to happen in the future of this game. This game is basically roguelike modes, non-stop roguelike modes. You can learn a new scenario, and then once you learn the new scenario, you will just keep playing that roguelike mode non-stop every single day. Power creep will happen. This is a gacha game, and there will be quite a bit of power creep later on, but as a free-to-play player, you can catch up as long as you don't pull a freaking useless card like me. Look at the bottom one and you know what happened to me already. Spreadsheet gaming. This game can get very spreadsheety, very meta stuff. You only pull the stuff that you really want, and then after that you just kind of forget that you're actually playing an actual game. You're just playing a spreadsheet at this point. So the thing to avoid here is don't be like me and treat this game as a spreadsheet. It's not the horse's fault that the horse is like not great. It's because you have treated them like basically a spreadsheet and are just pumping them with insane requirements, and then you just never ever get an amazing horse, right? So just don't worry about this part over here for now. There's no PvP in the current release of the game. You only have the AI version of the PvP. Later on, there's going to be the actual PvP where you actually race against horses meant to clear certain things, and you need to use your own horse to clear the certain thing faster than the other guy. After that, got bored. Everyone will get bored eventually. This game is very old, and also the main one, I pulled a bad banner. So this is really not an issue for you guys anymore because you have insane amounts of future sight. I can legitimately tell you all of the meta things you need to pull before you even know that they're coming out. Like, I can tell you all of that until make a new track, and then after that I still know a few of the other things that you need to look forward to, like Neo Universe and Laurel and so on, right? So there's a lot of things that you want to look out for, and we will just start off slow. We were gonna start with the basics here. I want to show you guys how I used to enjoy Musume, because that's the first important one. I want you to get rid of this spreadsheet gaming thing in your head first. I've seen people use Haru Rara in competitive modes. I've seen people train vodkas only. I've seen people train Daiwas. I've seen people train only that horse because they love that horse. And so that is one of the things that you should try and experience. Reading the stories of the horses is actually one of my favorite pastimes, because you get to learn more about the horse. Like, for example, for Haru Rara's case, she legitimately has 113 losses and no wins. She only raced to lose, basically, and she managed to save one stadium because she was so popular that they bought this amount of tickets on her victory, and she lost, but everyone knew she was going to lose anyway. So it was pretty damn interesting, right? Haru Rara can lose this much and yet still win everyone's hearts. Very, very cool. And that is why when they translated her to the game, they actually made her a very cute horse daughter, and they also made her horrendous for clearing. Basically, what happens is that you have to race in the Arima Kinen, turf and long, and a lot of people are complaining about this thing right now. Not complaining, but more like making memes about it, right? Oh no, I feel Haru Rara. This is my fault. It's not Haru Rara's fault. Then Haru Rara cries, very, very sad. Yep. The thing about that Arima Kinen part at the end there is that her long is G and her turf is G. G is the worst alphabet in this game. A is the best. Sorry, S is the best. A is the second best. A basically means no stat bonuses and no stat losses. B is minus 5% stat. And then after that, when you go to G, is like negative 1 million stats basically. Don't even need to know the percentage. Basically, the horse cannot play turf, cannot play long. So what you need to do to get Haru Rara to win Arima Kinen is just get turf to B and long to B. By the end of this, I'll talk about how to get these stats to B and give you the rough guide on how to do it later on. But for now, Haru Rara will be your dirt horse for now, since she starts with dirt. She's a short race runner and she's also a betweener, so you just use her for that. Take note that Haru Rara also has an unfortunate stat bonus over here. They kind of gave her the short straw here. The important stats in this game is to get stamina to the minimum requirement of the race. For long races, by the way, it's about 800 to 1000 stamina most of the time. So that means that you need a bunch of stamina and she has no bonus for that, which sucks. Speed is the most important stat in the game. After you get basic stamina. Once you get basic enough stamina that you can clear the race, you can get your speed to as high as possible, because that determines your maximum speed. Power is your acceleration, so this is also a very important stat. You want to get a lot of power so you can accelerate to the speed stat that you want later on. You also need a bit of wisdom in order to make sure you trigger your skills. I think early game some people actually recommend 500 to 600 wisdom just because the ratio goes up to I think 80% and so on. But later on, when you get better and better cards, the wisdom can be very easily hitting 1000, 1200 and so on later on. The power creep in this game can go pretty crazy with the stat caps, right? So for now, for new players, the goal is to get minimum stamina, get your speed as high as possible, get your power pretty high, and then keep enough intelligence so that you'll be able to trigger your support skills. The higher the intelligence, the higher the support skills, but take note, wisdom does depreciate over time, which means that once you get to about 500, 600, the ratio of increase is going to be a lot less. So it goes from like 87% to maybe 88% and so on and so forth. Eventually it'll just curve down, right? So having too much int is not that amazing, but the thing about int is that it also trains your speed. So since you want to max speed anyway, you might be training int, and also when you're playing the game mode, when you train the int, you are also resting, which means you get back some stamina, some energy so that you can race again next time, or just go and train again next time. So that's why wit is very, very popular as a card, just because it helps to train speed and also helps you to basically function as a I want to train a little bit here, but I don't want to burn all of my stamina because next turn I want to click a big bond card, for example. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why int is a very, very popular stat to go and train. Alright, so that is going to be the Haru Rara one here. I do have a few more stories that I want to tell you guys, but I don't think there's enough time. I tried a few times to talk about Oguri and whatnot, but really it just takes too much time. I have to move on to the gacha part. So enjoying the game, you just explore the horse stories, explore their challenges, explore all of their stuff. It's just very, very fun to go and do all of these things. Just explore, read all of the stories, and then you start to get a better idea on the horses. Feel free to Google some of them in real life. I think the ones that are a bit tragedies are Rice Shower as well as Silent Suzuka. Those are very big tragedies in horse racing history, while the ones that I have here, Gold Ship, Tokai Teiyo, and Oguri, are very, very decent stories, positive stories basically. Very strong horses or very funny horses basically. Right, next is going to be the gacha aspect of the game. This game has no soft pity and also no pity carryover. You must pull on the banner that you want, and ideally you pull all the way until you can select your limited unit. Otherwise, accept the fact that all of your duplicates, all of your pity currency, the extra pulls that you've done are going to turn into clovers, and then you can't use those clovers to go and pull or anything like that. Right, so that's gonna suck. for a lot of you guys, since nowadays modern gacha gaming has a soft payday 50/50s and all this shit, so you are basically guaranteed something earlier on and whatnot. But in exchange, Musume does give you a lot more gems, I think. So I think it kind of evens out. It's just that RNG is very, very prominent here. You will need to save a lot, and you need to pick and choose the cards that you want. Like you saw me, I picked a bad card to go and pull for. I regretted it ever since. So that's what happened to me. Alright, so let's talk about the upcoming banner, which is Kita-san Black over here. We will now talk about meta stuff. So we refer to our other spreadsheets over here, which is the support card evaluation document done by Celery and Urzi and Kurokami and Pekan. These are all of the big names of JP Uma Musume, and it's only by reading these documents that I was able to actually become a better player and also ask questions and also get a lot of information. Quite a lot of other people have helped me, but I can't remember all of their names right now. But basically, this evaluation document I will be putting in the description. I'll put all of the resources that I'm using here in the description so that you can use them for your own racing. How this tool works is that it basically does a comparison between the stats as well as the skills of the characters. So you can see stuff like Kita-san being all the way down here, meaning that every single one of these cards up here eventually will do more stats and maybe even better skills than the Kita-san Black eventually. However, here's the thing about Kita-san Black, the upcoming card. Kita-san Black, though she is lower ranked in this sheet over here, she is a staple in all decks due to its super consistent rainbows and universal skills, because it gives you also Arcline Professor, which is just better corner acceleration. Is it acceleration or speed? It's one of the two. But basically, it gives you a very, very powerful skill and can be used on any character, because Arcline Professor is just as long as you turn the corner, you get more of the speed or the acceleration. So that is insanely good already. It's a skill that is guaranteed to activate on any track, because all tracks have corners. Once you hit the corner, Kita-san triggers the skill. Amazing card for new players, and also consistent rainbow shitter. She shits out rainbows like no tomorrow. So the moment you max out her bond, she just gives you rainbow. It's just really damn awesome to have Kita-san Black early on. That's why she's so damn important. I'll show you which stat affects her rainbow spawn rate later on, so you will understand a bit more on how to compare different stats, right? Later on, you can see here also El Condor Passer SR. It's even some SRs are going to be better than some of these other cards here. Then you also have Shinko Windy, you also have Sweep Tosho, which are some of the available starting cards for a lot of new players who you're definitely going to need these, by the way, because you need a lot of speed to get a lot of speed stat, because you are most likely not able to max out all your Shinkos or your sweeps or even your Kita-san Black when she comes along. Right, next we have stamina cards. For the stamina cards, we are basically only looking at one here since there's only one that was released. This one is going to be Super Creek. Super Creek is going to be a very powerful card, has a very strong training bonus, has a +1 stamina bonus also, and also gives you 10% race bonus naturally. Gives you a very powerful recovery skill, which is the Arc Maestro recovery skill. Recovery skills, if they are gold, they are generally 200 stamina restore. If they are grey, they are 80 stamina restore. Take note, the skill Iron Wheel is not really a recovery, so do not take the Iron Wheel skill. I did see some pictures of people taking Iron Wheel. Iron Wheel is not actually a real one, so that one recommended don't take. But Arc Maestro, the Super Creek one, is an extremely versatile skill. Basically, turn corner, get stamina. That's it. That's what it means, right? That's why this and Kita-san are so important, because their skills trigger whenever you turn a corner. That's it. That's all you need, right? That's why these skills are so damn strong. Super Creek is also very interesting because at one limit break, aka one more duplicate, you can actually get the stamina bonus already. So she gets additional bonuses to her stam gains, which is very powerful already, on top of a 200 stamina gold skill. Really good stuff, right? Super Creek basically is going to be a very core card for a long time. I know they say older card over here, but you can actually still slap her even in the JP if you have copium, basically. Yeah. Alright, so Super Creek is very important card and also can be run on a budget with one limit break. However, stat output will be still not that amazing. It's just that with one limit break, you're able to get the stamina bonus, which is very nice. Right. Moving on, we also have Mayono Top Gun, which is one of your very good SR cards that you have at the start of the game. You need to make sure that she has a bunch of LBs though, otherwise she kind of doesn't really compete with Super Creek. And sometimes if you're very desperate and don't have the proper inheritances, you can run double stamina if you're going for a long or medium race, just because you can't hit the stamina requirements. However, I wouldn't really recommend this. I would recommend just trying to borrow parents that give you enough stamina so that you plus this super crit card here should be able to get your decent enough stamina level. Alright, of course you can always slap in a max level Myono Top Gun if your super crit is only 1 LB, because Myono Top Gun is a very good stamina card also once you max it out. Alright, after that we have this one is going to be Power. Power is an interesting card just because you kind of only can use it if you are going for something that has low stamina requirement, because right now, due to all of your cards being very horrendous, because you don't have enough limit breaks. Limit breaks just means uptie, by the way. Sorry, not uptie. Constellation of the support card, right? Basically, you're just pulling duplicates of the support card to give it more stats, and the stats are very important in this game, right? You need to go vertical power level for support cards, and then for horses, you just collect the horses that you really like, or you want to follow meta, then just pull meta horse only. All right. So power cards are interesting because some of them they do give stamina bonuses. So if you do inherit stamina, then you can have a power card that gives you stamina bonus as well, and then you can actually be enough to clear most stamina requirements. But that is not going to be available, I think, quite early on. So you just basically are using power cards to give you more power, and that is, while good, not good early just cause you cannot afford to put it into the deck. Let's say we were training a short race anyway. In the short race, when you train speed, you get power stat, and you need to max out the speed first rather than maxing out the power, right? So getting a power card is not that amazing. Power trains stamina as a secondary stat as well. So if you're going for maybe a mile race and you have inherit stamina, then you go for a power card with a bit of a stamina bonus, then you can compensate, right? Then you are able to hit the mile stamina requirement and also get quite a decent amount of power. But your speed cards are still shit, right? So you're not able to actually get enough speed stat to max out your speed. So even though your power and your speed are about equal, it's still not that great because you rather have maxed out your speed rather than get this amount of power. So that's how it be with power cards. It's just a little bit awkward early game just because you're not able to really max out your speed very easily, right? Next, you also have Guts cards. For Guts cards, there's only one that you need to look at as a new player, which is Haru Urara. Go and get this card as soon as possible. Very strong card. This card has good cross training, 10 race bonus, high friendship bonus, and can give you a lot of big stats, and has 1 SP bonus. The only downside is that it has low initial bond. Initial bond is another stat I'll talk about later, but basically it means that if you have no initial bond, it means that your bond is at 0, so you have no bond at all. That means that you have to click this card a lot of times in the training simulator to make it into orange so that it can become rainbow. That's how it works, right? So if you have to click it many times, it's worse than a card where you can click it a few times and it already hit the orange, so you can start making rainbows. And then while it's making rainbows, sometimes the other cards also appear underneath it, so you can get a rainbow plus 2 bonds, which is very efficient. So that's why Harurara is not that amazing due to the bond part, but she is free and she gives you all of these great stats over here. So she's a very solid card. Get the duplicates as well. Buy every single one of this Harurara card over here. For another significant one that you might see later on is Admire Vega, but she'll be out later, so you don't have to worry about it right now. Wisdom, we will absolutely be looking at Fine Motion. Fine Motion is the great shitter of wisdom. She has a wisdom bonus on her card, and she can shit out wisdom like no tomorrow. If you look at stat output, you can see that she basically shits out more wisdom than cards like Nice Nature and Mr. CB over here. However, I will say that these two cards over here are actually very powerful cards as well. Nice Nature and Mr. CB, they give specific skills. So if you are going for specific stats, for example, you need race bonus, then some of these cards actually do have a higher race bonus than Fine Motion, then you take those instead. Or for these cards, you can actually take them just because they give a very powerful gold skill. Fine Motion's gold skill isn't, her leader skill is not that amazing, while for Nice Nature, this gold skill is very strong, and Mr. CB gives an insanely powerful gold skill and is already functional at 1 LB, aka she's already a very solid intelligence card at 1 limit break, and she can give you a very insanely powerful chaser skill later on. So if you love gold shit, Manhattan Cafe, or any of the other chasers in the game, you can just slap this Mr. CB on them and give them that insanely powerful skill, and then you can watch a gold ship go zoom and chase down every single horse in the game. Very powerful card. Definitely keep an eye out for her, even though she is considered weaker in terms of pure stat output in this chart over here, she's still very, very strong for back in the day when we were doing chaser strats. So she's definitely a card that I would pick up if I see her. She's one of my favorite cards actually. I really, really love this card. Alright, so that is pretty much all of the tier listing stuff over here and a little bit of a sneak preview into the future. For now, Kita-san Black, Fine Motion and Super Creek will suffice for basically a whole year at this point. Like you have a long period of usage for these 3 cards over here. Right, now I want to show you guys the stats and actually explain what each of these stats do for you. First, you have the unique effect. The card itself has a unique effect which gives you increased stat gains when you train together and also increased probability of getting assigned to specialty training category. So take note that this is already calculated into here, that's why it's orange, right? So you have a 5% over here already applied to here and then another 20 applied to here already, right? So actually everything's here already, right? All of these cards also have different things. Increased stat gain, so it's over here. Increased probability of getting hints, so hint rate at 20 already here, blah 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 blah. You can see all these different ones over here, right? This is a so-called simulation of what I think a lot of new players might be getting early on. They can borrow Kita-san Max from a whale, they can have only a 0 LB Shinko, maybe they got lucky and pull a 3 LB Sweep Toshu, then or they have their own Kita-san Black at 0 LB just cause they got really unlucky or they couldn't save enough or they go and pull for Mihono Bourbon or something like that. Alright, so these are the so-called simulated situations here for a new player here. So we'll just look at what each of these stats are going to do and why it's better to have higher of it. What the hell is a friendship bonus? Friendship bonus means rainbow. So when you have a rainbow, you get a bonus to the stat gains. At 0, Kita-san gets 20. At 3 LB, Sweet Tosho gets 28. At Shinko 0, she gets 32. Holy shit. Absolutely crazy. But that's because her innate passive over here gives her additional 10% rainbow stats, which is over here plus 10. Right? So already Kita-san is losing to a lot of these cards over here at 0. Next we have mood bonus. Mood bonus means that when your horse is happy, you should get more stats, right? So I think that's what this mood bonus is supposed to be. If I'm wrong, feel free to let me know. I think mood bonus is the one I'm not confident in, but I think friendship bonus I should be correct. Mood bonus, so yeah, you can see 20 over here, 37, 33, 20 and 30. So I think yeah, once again, not that high of a number. Shinko equal and then the rest of them are going to be higher. Bonus is very important. This one I definitely know. Basically, if you have a bonus when you train that character, or sorry, when you train with that horse, right, you get a bonus to the stat if you are training that stat on that turn. So for example, if Shinko Winde is on a rainbow speed and you LB her a little bit to LB4, she will give you additional speed stats when you're training speed. So this is very valuable. And if we were to look at something like why Super Creek is actually viable at 1 LB, it's because at 0 she doesn't have a stand bonus. At 1 LB she gets a stand bonus, and that is really damn valuable, right? So you definitely want to go and look at that. She also gets a bunch of other different stats, which is always very nice, but this one stand bonus here helps her shit out even more stamina for your party, right? So that is one thing to look at. Then after that, we have all these other bonuses. If they have it, they have it. Power bonus is actually really very nice because Kita-san, when she's rainbows on speed, she actually trains power naturally as a secondary stat because speed does that. Then Kita-san gets a 1 extra stat. So I mean 1 power bonus to your power gains. So that's really nice. Training bonus over here. Higher training bonus means more when you train, you just get more stats. That's what it means, literally. So yeah, Kita-san at base only has 10. This one has 10, this one has 5. So Kita-san actually will win Shinko at 4. But remember that the friendship bonus here, when you rainbow, is still so significantly higher than the Kita-san at 0. And then after that, initial speed up, Windy actually gives you raw 25 speed stat at the start also, which is very helpful. Super Creek, yep, gives you a raw stamina stat. So Super Creek gives you stamina stat, gives you stamina bonus when you train, and also gives you additional training bonus when you rainbow, and also additional chance to get rainbows. So yeah, this card is pretty massively OP in the early game for getting raw stamina and nothing but stamina, right? Also has a ghost heal, of course, forgot to mention that, right? After that, starting bond up. Starting bond up. Now this one is a bit of a pain because you see Super Creek at 1 LB doesn't get starting bond. You have to go to like 3 LB to get 15 starting bond. That will reduce the amount of clicks you need to do for her in order to max out her rainbows. So yeah, that's something that's going to be quite significant as well. 1 LB then 3 LB for Creek is going to be a significant power spike again because of the starting bond. For Kita-san, you see it's 25, 23, 15. So naturally Kita-san starts with a pretty damn high bond. She's a very friendly horse. And then when you max her out, 35. Yep. so she's going to win in that regard. But remember, even if she is a friendly horse and you can rainbow her early, her rainbows will still have lesser value, right? Race bonus is great. Race bonus is just you can get more resources out of your races, get more skill points, get more fan bonus, and so on and so forth lah. Basically, when you race, you get some stats and also a lot of skill points. Race bonus affects that. Fan count just gives you more fans. Fans is for farming your Ura skills or for just farming for your circle, because circles, they scale based on fans. So some circles, they actually have a fan requirement where you slam a bunch of fan bonuses and then you go and farm them, then you can go to the circle, because some circles, they aim for really high levels, and that requires a lot of grinding, and that gives a pretty significant amount of gems. So they will only let you in if you do the grinding. But there's also circles where it's very casual. There's also circles where they just kind of trade shoes all day and nothing else. So there's a lot of different types. You don't have to just do the super grinding with the fans, right? Hint bonuses, these are nice to have, but also not super essential unless the skill is extremely powerful, in which case then this is very valuable. In the case of Kita-san Black, her skill is insanely good, so this is a very powerful thing to have. And then behold, the specialty rate of a Kita-san at 0 is freaking 20, so your odds of getting the damn rainbow is still damn low. However, look at the 4LB Kita-san Black, 116, holy shit. Basically, you are shitting out rainbows for the rest of your life with this character. Really damn strong. 3LB is the recommended, right? They already recommend there. You've already seen some of the tier lists, or you've seen people tell you 3 limit break on your Kita-san Black. Why is it 3? Why is it 3? Because 2LB, you look 20, 3LB, at least it went up to 68. So your odds of getting the rainbow spam is going to be very much better than just leaving it at 2LB. That's the main reason why. That really is the main reason why. At 1LB, right, you do get at least 1 power bonus, but the rainbows still not gonna come. It's really not gonna come. You might as well go for another speed card. Other speed cards have better chances of getting the rainbows than this card here. In fact, Shinko has the exact same rate of a rainbow at 0 compared to a Kita-san Black 1. But Kita-san does beat Shinko at 0 just because of this power bonus over here. So yeah, these are the stats. I've explained them to you. You can look at them yourself, or you can just refer to the global tier list, right? Like, why think? Just go and copy first. Don't need to understand first, right? Because I don't want to overload your brains too much. Just refer to this list. It's just an aggregation list. It gives you roughly, oh, this thing will give more stats than this thing at this limit break, and this thing will give more stats at this limit break compared to that thing, and so on and so forth. But remember that these are also just raw stats. Ultimately, a good card should also give you a good skill, which is why Kita-san 3LB gives you the good stats, and also by default gives you the good skill. So not having the stats and giving you good skill is honestly not worth it unless the skill is absolutely game breaking, which in some cases there are some situations like that. Alright, so that is pretty much all of the stuff here that I shall give you for tier listing stuff. Now we will talk about the stats. How do the stats work? What do they do? We will now move on to this section over here under stats. Speed. This is the stat you will want as much of it as possible because it just affects your maximum speed, and the faster you go, the better you win. Stamina, you need to have a certain amount of stamina, otherwise when you go and burn all of your stamina, you start burning your HP. When you run out of HP, you decelerate, then you lose the game. So once again, stamina affects your speed, so stamina is very important. Take note that pace chasers receive an 11% stamina penalty, so that position is going to be rough. But if you go one down to the 3rd position, there's a chance that you get blocked by the other horses in front of you, which is a pain in the ass. So sometimes you actually go to the pace chaser position and take the stamina penalty just so you can get blocked less, just in case. So this one is really a your choice situation. Some people don't care and they just go to 3rd place to save some stamina. Some people care, so they go to the 2nd place. So this one is a your choice situation. Just make sure you have enough stamina, right? Because getting blocked is a pain, but also not having enough stamina equals to a guaranteed loss anyway. So this one is a must. Make sure you have enough stamina. Power, also very important. More important in shorter races and not that important in longer, because you can accelerate longer in a long race, and yet you should still have a lot of power, because acceleration is always going to be good. The faster you reach your top speed, the better it is going to be for you in the early game, depending on what kind of horse you are. You always basically want power. You always want power, right? So power really good. It affects your acceleration. You always want this power. Guts, not that important. It's basically a last spurt only resource. When you're near the end and you're burning your HP to force your Uma Musume to burn their last bits of HP to get to the end, that's when Guts is going to be very, very useful. But you also don't need that much. You only need like 300 or 400 Guts. Around there is already pretty much good enough for most horses in the game. You do not need any more than that. Later on, there might be Guts focused strats, but those are for different reasons than actually liking the Guts stat. Alright, yes, Guts does train power and speed, which is why Haru Urara is actually pretty decent for stat farming for power and speed, but you are not going to make a strat where you have a lot of Guts until you get a specific scenario. So right now, not a thing, alright? Guts is not a thing. Next, we'll talk about Wit. Wit, as you can see here, does depreciate in value. The amount of percentage skill proc you get is going to get lower and lower and lower per 100 of your wisdom. So really, early game, you can only go for about 300 to 500 wisdom. Yes, you might get more, and that is still fine. The reason why getting more is fine is because when you train intelligence, you are actually also training your speed. You are also saving energy in an actual simulation game where you are able to save the turn. Basically, you are just getting some int, and then next turn you try and hit a very big rainbow or try to hit a very big bond turn and try to max the bonds of all of your favorite horses, right? So that is why Wit is still going to be a good one, just cause it's a very powerful training option in the simulator. Restores stamina and also lets you go and train your speed as well, and we need a lot of speed. Alright, so that is how all the stats work. Next one, we are going to talk about what inheritances to aim for. Right now in the early game, you guys should not focus on pinks, because pinks is quite a pain in the ass, but at the same time you are going to 100% farm for blues. So if you can farm for pink at the same time, that's going to cut down the time immensely. But either way, it's RNG. This is a RNG-S system. So I'm very sorry for this one. But basically, the only way you can increase the odds of getting a specific blue star is a blue 3-star, right? Is to have a horse with 1100 in that stat. And even then, it's still RNG because these other stars can actually replace this star over here. So it's not 10%, it's actually all these buggers over here still can just appear and rob you of this 10% 3-star factor, right? So this is something to take note of, right? The thing is, for the pink, that one you can actually kind of snipe. The pink can only be chosen by aptitudes where the UMA has A or higher, which means that if your UMA only has one aptitude which is high, you're actually able to snipe the pinks for that UMA. However, the 3-star UMA is still going to be a rarity. You will need to keep grinding and grinding and grinding and praying that one of the pinks that comes out is going to be the pink that you want. And then the blue, you need to get the right stat to max so that you can pray for the blue that you want. Now, you might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about, so I just scroll back up here. Yep, the blue is this one over here that gives you raw stats. The pink is the one that gives you proficiency in aptitude, and the whites and the greens are basically for scenarios or for races. If you look properly, you can see Ura Finale. That's for clearing the Ura, you get a white factor. Arima Kinen, if you clear Arima Kinen, you get a Arima Kinen race white factor, right? So you can get these factors like this. You can even get skill factors. You can get like Cloudy Days, which is literally a skill, and you can actually pass that down to your child later on, because these are the legacy characters over here. So basically, you're breeding this horse and this horse together. What happens is that your horse over here will get a bunch of stats and so on and so forth, right? And basically, what happens here is that the blues transfer the stats to this character directly. So with 3 stamina, you would give a pretty significant amount of stamina, and then if you have 1-star, 2-star, you just give less stamina to the target. And then for the proficiency here, if they already have A proficiency, if you give enough stars of that proficiency, you actually can turn it into S. And remember I said earlier, I think, wait, I'm not sure if I said earlier, but basically I said you need to level up your distance. Your distance is more important for something like Urara, right? Because you get her to B, you can actually only have a minus 5% stat bonus, which means that you can totally win Arima Kinen. But for characters that already have A, for example in Long, again, like maybe Ghost Ship, you can actually make it into S. And what happens when you hit S is that you get 5% speed for long distance races, and Ghost Ship is only going to run those, so that means that you're going to win, right? That's what's going to happen here with Ghost Ship. So that 5% extra speed means you go fast, means you win the game. So that's why getting the distances as your pinks is going to be more important, but at the same time, you can't really like snipe it. You have to just RNG shit them out until eventually it comes out. It does get easier though. I believe some scenarios eventually do help you to make your proper parent, so parentage becomes a lot better later on in the game, but early game it's really going to be a hardcore grind to look for the optimal one. So please don't burn yourself out just farming for the perfect parent. This one is really something that will naturally come as you train the horses. It will just naturally come, or you can just dedicate 30 runs to just shit out a parent. Honestly, like this is a very, very long process, so don't be angry or don't be tilted that you can't get the horse immediately. Alright, so that's pretty much the parentage stuff here. There's a little bit of other min-maxing, like for example, making sure all your legacy horses race the same races, because what happens is that if both of them race Arima Kinen, then you breed them together, you can actually transfer that Arima Kinen at a higher rate to the child. You can also improve compatibility between the horses, allowing you to get better pass downs to your child. There's a compatibility calculator and all that shit. You can go really, really deep into the rabbit hole. But for now, your basics is blue, pink. That's it. Don't need to think any deeper than that. Don't worry about it as of now. Once you have become comfortable with all of these basics, then you can go and look for the more advanced stuff. Alright, so that is going to be the second last one. Now we go to the last one, which is the training flowchart. This is a very, very basic training flowchart, and also this document made by Urzi. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Urzi, absolute good. If I didn't have this guide at all, I would just not be able to play this game at all. Absolutely disgusting. You can even check all the strats here, by the way. There's a breeding strategies, how to make parents, and blah blah blah. All of the information that you probably asked before are all written here, and all of them recorded by Urzi. Absolutely incredible stuff. Right, the one that I wanted to show you is the basic training strategy. I wonder where he put it. Okay, Control F, basic training. That's the one. Okay, basic training strategy. Let's move to that one. Right, so what happens in this game is that your top priority is specialties. You want to get rainbows. Specialty, friendships, rainbows, they're all the same thing. Basically, you need to train the bonds. When they get to orange, they have a chance to become a rainbow. If you train them, you get +7 bond. If you have an exclamation mark, that's a hint. If you get a hint, you get +5 bond as well, right? And then also if you have the charming buff from just doing an event, you will also get +2 bonds when training with the horses. So charming is actually really solid early game, and then becomes really shit late game, because late game you already maxed out the bonds, so there's no point to take charming. But +2 extra bonds early game, if you can get it early, is a really, really good thing to take. Then after that, you're basically just looking for the most valuable bonds to train. You are looking for 3 bonds, 4 bonds, 2 bonds, and if it is 2 bonds, you just choose the one that is the more important stat for you. For example, if it's on guts and speed, it's an obvious choice. You train the speed one, because the guts one is not something you want to train. However, if it's on speed and intelligence, then a little bit more knowledge is required. Will next turn be something that I need to rest, or will next turn be something where I need to I can just rest tomorrow because there's nothing on tomorrow? Then you can go ahead and burn the speed, or you can burn the intelligence, up to you, because intelligence restores your stamina, so it saves you one more training round as well. Right, so there's a lot of different things that you can think of here, but the basic flowchart is actually down here. If you have a training and can you accept the risk of failing this training for the stats that you would gain for this training? So let's assume like we are only training for bonds at the start, in which case, are you willing to bond 1 horse just for 1 horse for a maybe 50% failure rate? I think not. Let's not take that, so we just rest. But what if it's a 4 bond horse at 50% failure rate? I think I would take that, because even if I fail, so be it. But if I succeed, that is a massive amount of bond. That is 7 times 4 bonds. Very, very massive. So I would take that risk. So that is one of the things here that you must go and look at and figure out as you play. Next are all of your supports at orange bond. Try to get all of your bonds at max, unless you're only using a card purely for skills, in which case maxing that card doesn't really matter. However, in this case, most of you will just be maxing your bonds no matter what. So just make sure you do the training with the most non-orange bonded support. spots. However, if there is a rainbow and the bonds aren't that good, maybe you just click the rainbow, maybe you just pass the turn by resting. That one's your choice at that point. But if there is a rainbow and you've already maxed out all your orange bonds, then what you want to do is just do the best rainbow. Well, but if it's guts, Urara, and then speed, and you have 2 speed ones, then just pick the 2 speed ones. That one just gives you more stats. Just pick the one that gives you the most stats. Always pick the best rainbow for the situation. Then also train intelligence or do an optional race is an option if there is no rainbow as well. Because other than that, if there is a rainbow and you haven't maxed out your bonds, you might as well go and train the bonds, right? So you just go back here again. So just do this loop and you pretty much have understood how to play Ura. And then later on, when more scenarios come out, it will become harder and harder and harder. Alright, so that is going to be it for this entire video here. It is a lot of knowledge to process, I understand, but Uma is a game of incredible depth and you're only just scratching the surface. There's still advanced strategies, there's micro optimizations, there's understanding how to target the training events. This one is something that you can actually just go and refer to as you encounter them. Like, how do I force out training? How do I force out crane games? What do I select when the acupuncturist comes? This crazy lady over here. By the way, the answer is probably pick number 4, pick number 2, because these two are pretty damn awesome. One gives you some good skills and then one gives you some charmings, but if they fail, then so be it, it fails. But I would usually take it anyway. I don't really give a shit. Then other than that, it's like you can check out what to do at New Year's, check out what to do at lottery, check out what to do in summer and so on. Yeah, summer is another advanced thing that you need to know. When it's about to approach summer, right, make sure you rest up real good, because summer is the time when the friendship bonuses get absolutely insane. Look at this. Rest up, have full energy and motivation going in. So even though I gave you the basic training thing, there's so many other things to go and refer to, and it might get super overwhelming. But once again, I bring you back to my slide over here. Don't let it become spreadsheet gaming. Always remember that you are here for Horse Girl. Happy Horse Girl, alright? Enjoy the game, otherwise you burn out like me. Alright, so that is my final advice here. I may make more videos in the future depending on the response. So if you have any other questions, feel free to just comment down below and I'll just look at them for any ideas for future videos. If you need a sample run, I will probably do a sample run, but I'll borrow one of my friend's decks, which are maybe either complete or not complete, and then I'll show you how to clear certain horses with them and so on. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. I'm done. Alright, I'm done. Thanks guys for watching, and I shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.